And is Pastor Tim West here?
Oh, yes, Jimmy.
Please lead us in invocation. And Commissioner Willis, would you do the pledge, please?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this moment in this time. Lord, we thank you for the wisdom and revelation that you have given us to take these claims and the ordinances of the city into account. And Lord, we just pray for wisdom and revelation to the council and the mayor for everything that they have to work through. And Lord, we thank you that you are the author and the creator of all living things, and that you are here with us today. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Here.
Mr. Willis?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Vice Mayor Trapeze?
Excuse. Here. All right, and we'll start with a Public Safety Department special presentation. And we've got Deputy Police Chief Wes Mullins.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, City Manager, City Attorney, and City Clerk, and citizens. Can I have Joseph and his family please come up, please? You hang out right here. Pretty please. Mom, Dad, family, please. Welcome. What's up, man? Wes, how are you? Nice to meet you. No. Okay. Mayor and Commission, this is Joseph Quinones Torres, our newest police officer. Okay. Joseph is in his first phase of training, and tonight we're here to swear him in front of the citizens, in front of our public safety brothers and sisters, and in front of you folks as well, because we thought it's important that we get back to actually doing this. And we're going to make a couple changes in the meantime. But I want to tell you a little bit about Joseph first. Here with Joseph is his father, Juan, his mom, Yesenia, his sister, Veronica, his brother, Jorge, his brother, Juan, and his girlfriend, Ariana. Joseph was born in Pembroke Pines, Florida, but has lived most of his life in Titusville due to his father being in the United States Coast Guard. Joseph has been part of the Titusville Police Explorers for going on 6 years, where he has now transitioned to an advisor role. We've stolen from Titusville. He chose to be part of law enforcement to help the people that can't help themselves and to leave the people he interacts with better than how he found them. That's awesome. He would like to pursue a career in investigations, as well as starting an Explorer program with our department. Joseph has a self-taught barber for the last 3 years. It looks like he could use it as well. So, that's a little bit about Joseph. But what we thought we would do tonight is, a lot of this is ceremonial, but we want to read in front of each and every one of you and the commission what Joseph has already read and signed, which is our code of ethics. I think it's important that each and every one of you get to hear that and hold us accountable for what we do each and every day for each and every one of you. So the code of ethics that Joseph signed and read several weeks ago is as follows. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all men to liberty, equality, and justice. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all, maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule, develop self-restraint, and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed in both my personal and official life. I will be exemplary in obeying the laws of the land and the regulations of my department. Whenever I see or hear of a confidential nature or that is confided in me in my official capacity will be kept secret unless revelation is necessary in the performance of my duties. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime and with relentless prosecution of criminals, I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without fear or favor, malice or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held as long as I am true to the ethics of the police service. I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives and ideas, dedicating myself before God to my chosen profession, law enforcement. Every one of our officers reads that and signs it before they come on with us, but we don't ever do that in front of you folks. So I think from now on, this is what we're going to do, so you guys can kind of hear it. We can hear it every day, and the community can hear it every day as well. So with that said, I'm now going to read the oath of honor to our newest officer. So please raise your right hand. When I'm done, Mom or Dad, who's going to pin him? Mom, please don't poke him yet. Okay? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Please repeat after me. On my honor,
On my honor,
I will never betray my badge,
I will never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character,
my character,
or the public trust.
or the public trust.
I will always
I will always
have the courage
have the courage
to hold myself
to hold myself
and fellow officers
and fellow officers
accountable
accountable
for our actions.
for our actions.
I will always support
I will always support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Florida.
and the state of Florida.
I will,
I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
observe and uphold
observe and uphold
the provisions
the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the City of Cocoa Beach,
of the City of Cocoa Beach,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Well done. Awesome. Well done. So, any questions for Joseph, Mayor, or are we good?
Welcome, thank you.
Okay. Yep, you have the support of the commission, of the citizens, and please hold us all accountable. All right, folks? Thanks. All right.
All right. Moving right along. I'm going to recognize the promotion of Fire Lieutenant Peter Marks and Ryan Duckworth. We've got a swear-in firefighter, Gabriela Sirocco.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to introduce you to this new lieutenant who's been with us for a little bit now, and our new firefighter, Gabriela Sirocco. We do our swear-ins and all of our awards ceremony at our what we call a medal day. Ms. Hayes, you attended last year. Thank you very much for attending that. It's a very special day that we model it after the FDNY, and has a lot of steeped in history, a lot of good basis, a lot of good history, and let's say camaraderie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about both of these fine employees and tell you what they've accomplished, and then I encourage all of you who have an open invite to please attend the awards ceremony and badge pinning ceremonies. It's very special to us, so thank you very much. So, without further ado, Peter Marks, he's the tall one. Okay, here we go. He's as tall as he looks, by the way. This is not an illusion. So, okay. Peter Marks is an integral part of the Cocoa Beach Fire Department line staff organization. What that means is the staff is our command staff and chiefs, and the line is considered the firefighters, the ones that hold the line. Peter's he's a very fast learner that has a very friendly personality that's been helpful to many people in more ways than I can count. Earning state certified fire officer certification and continued focus in career development and special operations. Peter has proven himself as a well-respected and trustworthy firefighter that goes the extra mile to deliver outstanding service to the citizens and visitors of Cocoa Beach. Since joining the department family, Peter has grown personally and professionally with his loving wife and school teacher. Her name's Brittany. She's awesome. She's like the boss of the house. Obviously, we all know this. So. And their beautiful 1-year-old little girl, Eloise, and she is just adorable. His leadership is strong and infectious as his heart and dedication to the fire department and his personal family. He may be large in stature, but his personality is just as large and his smile just as sharp. This well-deserved promotion to fire lieutenant is a testament to his highly motivated leadership, fireground skill, and professionalism in the fire service, as he ensures his brothers and sisters in the fire family will be well guided as they progress in their professional fire service careers. So I'm going to recognize Peter, promotion to lieutenant. Congratulations, Peter. Next up, last but certainly not least, this is affectionately known as Gabby, Gabriela Scirocco. She came to us just about a year ago because you have finished the probationary period. She has completed that probationary period at a high speed. She's, as we speak, in a rope class, taking stuff that I don't know. That's the people that fly out the windows upside down to rescue people trapped on window washers at 100 stories, and you always see the crazy stuff. However, she's excelling in the class. We're getting nothing but good feedback. And she's been a professional firefighter with us for 1 year. She has babysitted a lot of our firefighters and taken a leadership role that may not be officially assigned, but she's helping us keep the course, and it's been very, very good. She worked very hard and performed at a very high level, and I can't stress that enough, what she's done. During the arduous 1 year Cocoa Beach Fire Department probationary period, it's by no means easy and has only been getting harder because of the increasing competitiveness, the increasing demands, and the lessening number of jobs that are out there. Because it used to be flooded, like you couldn't get a job ever in the fire service. Now it seems like we can't hire anybody. When we find diamonds like this, we hold on to them, we hold on tight, and we make sure that they develop to take the leadership in the future. She has thoroughly proven her skill, tremendous capability to learn, and information absorption from veteran firefighters and fire officers. Her teamwork fundamentals are some of the strongest I've seen during my fire service career. It's 29 years now, so I feel very old. It's okay about that. And I'm very excited as she progresses through her fire service career with our fire family. She could have chosen anywhere to go. She's more than qualified, she's more than capable, and proven that she can carry her weight and so much more. Both physically, personally, emotionally, she's there for her coworkers. She doesn't let anybody down. She understands that when she gets on the truck in the morning, that if her life is in someone else's hands, she has to trust them, and they have to trust her. And she's formed that bond, and she's proven herself more than once. Her fire brothers and sisters know that Gabby understands her critical responsibilities to work as a team, no matter what they're faced with, under any circumstance, any weather, any time of day, any threat. This is only the beginning for her professional career, and she will rapidly grow as a professional firefighter due to her work ethic, reliability, and outstanding personality. It's truly an honor to have her on our team and to call her a Cocoa Beach firefighter that's officially off probation. So welcome aboard.
All right, well, not quite done with fire yet. Update on the Cocoa Beach Paramedic Program.
Mr. Mayor, we are transferring that to a flash drive as we speak. We had a technical error. Give me 1 minute, I'll have it up for you.
Great.
We want to just kind of divert to the next kite test thing and get that out of the way.
Good.
We can do that if you wish.
Flip the two.
All right, we'll come back to that if, we'll go ahead and do the presentation of the 2024 Kite Fest and an update on the 2023 Kite Fest and a Main Street presentation. Kenny, you're up.
Technical, not my forte.
I'll be back.
Okay, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Kenny with Cocoa Beach Main Street, and I just wanted to get in front of you guys again, do a little recap on what we've done this year and what we're looking forward to next year. The Kite Festival that we had in January, I feel like was a huge success. I hope everyone was able to get out and enjoy the kites for the weekend. Coming up for 2024, what we have planned is a pared back version of the Kite Festival. It will be on Saturday and Sunday only from 10 to 4, just out at the beach. We will have a regular Friday Fest the Friday before, but there will be no kites on the beach at night on Friday night. And we did have a VIP event at the school on Saturday night, and we won't be doing that either. So we've pared it down, but it's still going to be huge and beautiful. Throughout the weekend, the businesses have talked about what a great response they had of people coming to their shops and buying. We had over thousands of people that gathered to watch the kites on the beach. Just a few pictures of it. Everyone is fascinated by the beach, from young to old. I sat out on the beach Sunday afternoon and just watched people coming from church. They had their church shoes in their hand and were walking the beach and just really having a good time. Something else that Cocoa Beach Main Street does, which not everyone is familiar with, we do give back to the community a lot. Our Friday Fest, we have some special ways that we donate and sponsor other organizations. We do a lot with the school. Usually every Friday Fest, we have some organization from the school there that they are raising money, and we are giving them platforms to raise a lot of money really easy, and we help them with that, and we give them a space. One of the greatest things was the band, where they brought some instruments and they had an instrument zoo. So as you walk by, they would be like, "Hey, here, do you want to play the drum?" And be like, "I don't know." So people were just playing drums and playing instruments, just giving them that opportunity. The kids loved it. We loved it. We had the first Walk and Wag 5K last month, and we raised a little money with that. Rocket Health was our main sponsor, but we were able to donate $100 to an animal rescue organization that's local. If you're not familiar with Cocoa Beach Main Street, I'm sure you are, but maybe there's some of the residents that aren't. Our mission is to make downtown Cocoa Beach thrive. Through our special and monthly events, we continue to provide a reason for Brevard County residents and visitors to come shop, eat, and relax. A, B, and C, which you can read here, that's part of our bylaws. And that's how our organization acts and what we act upon. So we are very much ingrained with Cocoa Beach and the survival of all the little businesses and shops in Cocoa Beach. Our promotions about Cocoa Beach, they go further than just our boundaries of downtown. We reach out, across the county over to Orlando, provide a lot of different events. Our Friday Fest is well known every month. We had our first annual Walk and Wag last month, and we'll do it again. It was centered around health and just get up and move and bring your dog and take a walk, and it was a lot of fun. Again, Rocket Health was our main sponsor with that. We do 2 sip and strolls a year in the spring and fall, and the businesses love it. We bring anywhere from 300 to 500 people into that shop during that event, and people make purchases. They remember that shop. They discover new shops, and they find old ones they didn't even realize were there. So the businesses really appreciate that. Winterfest is our annual winter gala with snow for the kids and the parade that goes through the middle of it, of course. The Kite and Beach Fest, which is in January, which we are going to hopefully continue to make that an annual event. Our monthly farmers market, we had our first one last month. We're starting it off once a month on the fourth Saturday through the summer. When it cools off a little bit, we'll go to twice a month, the second and fourth Saturday every month. We're limited with space, but we had 28 vendors. We had produce. We had grass-fed beef. We had 3 bread bakers. We had 2 bakeries, a cupcake person, a keto and gluten-free baker, some ceramics. It was so much fun, and it was very well received. And hopefully you guys will get out, check us out this month. It'll be not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And then also we do ribbon cuttings for new businesses. And so we promote extra for that, which has been really a lot of fun, and getting together with the new businesses and just promoting them and showing them off to everyone. We couldn't do this without our volunteers, so I always have to say big, huge thanks to all of our volunteers. We do accept commissioners as volunteers or mayors, so anytime, I've got the greatest little white T-shirt that says, hurrah for volunteers on the back, so we will gladly accept any of your time. And if you didn't realize, in the month of April, we, being Cocoa Beach Main Street, received a certificate of excellence for the state of Florida. Actually, it was a national resignation with Main Street and the National Historical Foundation. So you should have received some letters, but I put out a copy. It's addressed to the mayor, but on the bottom it said CC, so I didn't know if you had actually received them or not. So I'm just putting it out there again, because how many times can you toot your horns for really good stuff, right? But we've come a long way with Main Street, and we're looking for doing much more in the future, and we appreciate you and your support. And if you have any questions, I'm here. I'm always available. I appreciate talking to you or just running anything by you. If you have something that you feel there's a need that we can help you with in downtown, that we're here for that. So I'm going to leave you with one little thing to think about. And if you have any questions, you good? Cocoa Beach Main Street, everybody? We'll see you tomorrow night at Friday Fest.
It's not raining.
All right. Thank you.
Chief, welcome back.
Hello again. Ryan Duckworth, Fire Chief. This is Community Paramedic Sherry Mahaffey. Okay. Problem solving. This is good stuff. I'm gonna lift this up.
So some of you may not know me. I was a firefighter paramedic for Cocoa Beach here for almost 32 years. I retired in March of last year, and after 8 months retirement, the fire department contacted me to see if I was interested in running this community paramedic program. So that's why I am back to do this.
Gladly. Okay.
So as I'm Sherry Mahaffey, so I'm leading the community paramedic program, and it's been going very well. I get our referrals from the fire department, from the police department, other citizens of Cocoa Beach, and I go out and I do assessments to find out what the needs of our community is. So you can go ahead and switch. So I go out and we do wellness checks. We take vitals. Also, we have medical equipment, mobility equipment. Back here we have a storage room with walkers, wheelchairs, a whole bunch of equipment. So if any of our citizens need to borrow it, they just check it out, and when they're done, they bring it back. We provide resources, so if anybody in the city, if they need physical therapy or occupational therapy, or if they need rehab, or somebody needs resources to hospice, or placement, if they want to move into assisted living facility or places like that, we provide the resources for them to go out and make it easier for them. Also, we go out to churches and condo association areas, and we do hands-only CPR and AED. We provide that for them. And we also started a companionship. We got volunteers that signed up, and they've been vetted through the city, and they go ahead and provide companionship, because there's so many elderly people that once they move down here, retire, one of their spouses pass away, and they're alone. So this way we provide companionship that they schedule like once a week to go and visit them. Also, if they live alone and then they have no way to get to their doctor's appointments, we provide those volunteers, provide transportation. So these are the different places we unite together with the community, the citizens of Cocoa Beach, the other condo associations. When we go out, and usually when we're teaching the CPR and AED classes, prior to the class, I explain what our whole program, there's a lot more to it than I'm explaining now. And once they hear about it, they want to get involved. So there's other people that want to, become volunteers, or they're like, we didn't know the city provides all these services for us. So we have a van now, and we have the wrap. So this is our new vehicle. So this is our advertising for the community paramedics. So as we're driving around in the city, people have access to contact us and see what services that we can provide for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. I will say, the initial feedback for the community paramedic, thank you for the opportunity to do this. Mr. Mayor, thank you for believing in this. And I want to say 2 years, every time I saw you, you'd say, how's the community paramedic program coming along? And the issue came up, the ARPA funds were released, and the planets aligned, and this program has been nothing short of a miracle. We really can reach out to anybody, and so it's not their darkest day when we see them. They light up when Sherry comes in, or James, and the volunteers are outstanding. They can't volunteer enough. They just say, I'll be there every single day. So it truly is. It's a benefit for our community, employees as well. If you get to where you need help with a relative or somebody that's in need, please reach out to Sherry or Chief Schindler. And it's just, I did. It works great. So thank you very, very much, and for this opportunity to let Sherry speak, and thank you for believing in it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Outstanding.
you.
All right, need a motion to approve the agenda.
To approve the agenda is written.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comments on any items not on the agenda? Nope. All right. Okay. Staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you this evening, hanging over underneath the overhead display, we had an event. So I think Karen was out there. Would you like to come up, Karen? A Touch a Truck event. We actually had the opportunity from the library, actually reached out to us and asked if we would come out. So Karen, can you give us a quick little summary of the event?
Yeah, so about a couple weeks ago, the county library, Cocoa Beach Libraries, reached out and asked if we could get together some of our city trucks for the kids. And I said, yeah, let me see what we can do. And we were able to get the vacuum truck for Water Rec. We were able to get a bulldozer from Public Works, a fire truck, and a police vehicle. Not knowing how this was going to go, I just assumed that they were handling everything. Not much advertising was done. However, over about 100 kids did show up. They had a blast. They enjoy getting in the back of the police vehicle and shutting the doors and looking through the bars. Then realizing they couldn't open up the police door. That wasn't fun either. they ended up having, if you live in that area, you might have heard some horns on Tuesday afternoon because the kids discovered the horns, especially in the back truck. They were blaring that horn, and that horn's pretty loud. And then they also let them play with the water gun on the VACCOM truck. They actually had a line of kids sitting there waiting to get into the truck, come down out of the truck, play with the water hose. One of the little kids actually kind of blew a little bit because it was a little too strong for him. So it was a great event. We had lots of kids, police officers. I do thank all of staff that did show up at this last minute event. And thanks, they had all the kids color the thank you sign, which will be hung at the police station. So, fun thing.
Good job. Sharon from the library actually reached out to me. I saw her, and she just said, thank you, kudos to everybody for putting together such a great time. Kids had an awesome time. Well done.
I think our libraries are important for us to partner with and to be seen there and to do as much as we can to encourage the use of the library. So it's a great event. At least it was for the first year. I'm sure we'll be going forward. And our CFO is going to come up and just present you some new documents we have. So we're excited to present to you our first and second quarter financials and our monthly investment report. I think going forward, these will be presented to you again at that same time. If you would like to reach out after this presentation or this quick review that Patricia will provide you, if you would like to reach out and have either Patricia go over them with you, or if you'd just like to meet and run over them, we'll be glad to do that. So this will be one of those documents you can expect going forward, and I'll let Patricia just run through it real quickly. Thank you, Patricia. She's not going to go through every page. No worries, okay? She's just going to give you a rough idea of what she's provided.
Patricia Draycott, City of Cocoa Beach, CFO. We'll probably bring the third quarter reports to you on the July 20th meeting, and thereafter we'll be doing it on the second meeting of each month as a monthly report. This is just kind of getting us caught up and starting the practice of bringing these to you on a regular basis. So the August meeting will have the July monthly report and then your year-to-date numbers. So the first kind of packet is the first quarter. So this is going to be the October, November, December. And then the second one is the second quarter, which will be January, February, and March. And those dates are in the header, so you can kind of see. The first page is the general fund, and it's providing you with the same sources of funds that you would see in our annual financial report. So it's listing them in those same categories, and it gives you the original adopted budget, the amended budget, and then it gives you the year-to-date as of the end of the quarter. Then it gives the percentage of the budget that is either collected or spent as of that same date. The second part of that is showing you the expenditures by the different divisions. So there's the administrative, the public safety, public works, development services, leisure services, and the non-departmental doesn't really have any particular. Yes, sir.
Under revenues, investment earnings, it says that we've collected 788% of the budget.
Yeah. Yes, we have.
So that's 688% above the budgeted amount.
Because when we budgeted our investment earnings for fiscal year 23, interest rates were still well below 1%. So our investments were earning very, very little. Now we're earning between 5.5 and 5 3/4. We did not.
So you didn't find one investment that paid you 788% interest?
No. No, we don't,
I was wanting to know what one that was.
nope. And actually, one of the reports you have is your May investment report, and you can see how we do invest all
Just
those
wanted to
funds.
point that out.
Yeah. No, it's just that where we were last year when we were budgeting and where we are this year is a big change. We weren't,
Conservative budgeting, and you got a windfall.
we weren't able to anticipate how many times the Fed government was going to increase the rates, so good for us.
Yeah, thank you.
And you'll see that number goes up even more when you get to second quarter.
Oh, 2,411%.
Because the budget was 15,000, and as of the end of second quarter, the city had earned over 380,000 in investment earnings in the general fund investments. And that's the reserves that are invested.
Robin, just a quick question. What's the delta between the tax revenue and the actual, the 6 million roughly?
Which one are you on?
Or page one?
The October or the January?
October through December?
The taxes at 19 million versus our year-to-date actual 13. So a lot of times we'll have
They're
delinquent, or we'll have, the delinquents that are paid after the March timeframe. This is gonna go up through December, so they weren't all paid in December. So it's a timing. If you have if your taxes are part of your tax bill, then, or part of your mortgage payment, then it's escrowed in, so then it's collected usually in
The folks
November.
that pay in March.
But a lot of
will
people pay.
catch up. Got it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Was there anything else different there, Patricia, that I
No, that's correct. And that category of taxes does have a couple other tax revenues mixed in addition to the ad valorem, although, as you're correct, the majority of that is the ad valorem tax. But the second page of this is just giving you a little bit deeper look of the general fund expenditures. So you can see that by the administrative, how much of that was personnel versus operating versus capital. So it just breaks those expenditures down a little bit further for you.
And again, they're separated out by the category as listed in our annual financials at requirement of filing. So we don't actually list each individual department. It sums up to a summary of departments, public safety or administration. But the details are there if we need to provide those to you.
Yes. And then the report just continues by each of the city's funds. So you'll have a page for your CRA, for the new special revenue fund, Fund 136, which was new in fiscal year 2023 to better track those building permits that are subject to the state statute, where we have to make sure that we're spending what we collect in those permit fees for the purposes of conducting the city business. Yes, sir.
So in the October through December, which is the first quarter, the non-departmental expenses, 23% of the budget has been spent. In the next 3 months, from January through March, same fund, non-departmental, 127% of the budget had been spent. Is there an easy explanation for that?
Yeah, it's a combination of what you really are seeing in that particular is debt service and insurance. So part of what you're seeing in that increase is just the increased cost in our insurance. And it did go up in fiscal year 23.
And we hadn't forethought that it was going to go up?
We did, but not as much as it did. Some of it we just can't control, such as our auto liability, and this year our general liability has gone up.
So we would imagine that number will continue to climb for the rest of the fiscal year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Those were also some of the changes we talked about during mid-year, but we can definitely give you any details if you like, sir. The other report provided to you is the investment report, and then on the back is the summary of the investment fund balance, or investment balance by fund, excuse me. So that's your single page. There's a front and back if you have any questions on that.
But you should also have this page. And so what this page is, we have taken the fund balance per the audited fiscal year 2022 financial report and used those audited fund balances as a beginning fund balance to give you sort of an estimated picture of where your fund balances are as of March 31st. So it kind of breaks it out by that beginning balance plus the first quarter's revenue less the first quarter's expenditures to give you an estimated fund balance as of the end of the first quarter. And then it looks at that same calculation again for as of the end of second quarter. One of the things that you might notice is the stormwater is in a much better position for its fund balance when we look at it in this way.
Again, so if projects haven't begun and we haven't worked them and spent money on them, then we can see where our dollars are. The same thing with general fund. Again, we were looking at last meeting, I believe somewhere between 12 and 15 million for our fund balance. But if we look at our revenues, expenditures, and in some formal way, if you hold the line as best you can see that there is improvement at the end of each quarter. And again, we hope to have that at the end of the fiscal year also.
Now, this doesn't have any of our encumbrances, and any projects that have been begun that have not yet completed might have large expenditures that are out there that just have not processed through. So this is just a picture in time and does not show that full picture as we go through towards closer to the year end.
So, on this kind of same subject, at the last budget workshop, we asked for a policy change to go to 19% on the minimum requirement for our reserves.
Right.
Is that moving forward?
We're preparing some information and general information to give to the city attorney, and that'll be at your July 20th meeting.
The July 20th?
Yes, sir.
Thank
We
you.
may be able to present it to you on the July 18th if the city attorney's okay with that, because that's a financial night. That's dealing with proposed budget.
Is that a decisional meeting, the 18th?
It's a special meeting, yes, because you're having to vote on the millage rate.
Okay. All right, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you, Patricia.
Mayor, that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for getting this to us. I think it's important we get this data, so we're not waiting till mid-year to go through this. Thank you. City Attorney?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
City Commission? Commissioner Willis?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with, I mentioned the judging project that the court was involved in, and I think you guys you got the presentation. Basically, they are going to, and it's a federal government project, the Army Corps of Engineers, really, and they're judging about 1.6 million cubic yards of material to service Port Canaveral and NO2. And the presentation shows the areas where they prioritize the areas where they're dredging. I think just making it deeper for the NO2, the military ships that come in, and some of the cruise ships. And the important thing to know is they have, I guess we could look at it as spoil sites, how we define our dredging. There's two. The primary disposal disposal area, they're calling it, or spoil site, is way offshore, but they're looking to have any beach compatible material, possibly offshore, but kind of close to Cocoa Beach, and but it's all beach compatible material. But I contacted staff and showed them this, and Jared talked to some port staff over there, and they didn't seem to be very concerned about and I think they're still kind of in contact with them, but it seemed to not really affect us too much. But they're in contact with staff. I don't know if you have anything to add.
So we'll put a link on the website, this general information, and a link to the port so they can reach out. I think Bill Crow, is Bill Crown or
Bob Musser, I think, is
he's one of the
he's
gentlemen.
the environmental, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the environmental. Yeah.
And you're correct. They did state, Jared did state that the close to Minuteman on the beach side, there's an area they may deposit some sand type of particles that can be utilized, but they're not all the way up on the beach, but they're inland a little bit, and it just kind of, the waves will basically just move them about and redistribute them. And that's what the Army Corps has stated that they'll be doing. So we're trying to get a little bit more information, but that's what was provided to us.
The mayor wants strategic placement, just far enough offshore for a nice sandbar. It would only produce waves when we have hurricanes, so we get the big swell, but it also break that swell farther from shore, so we'll have less beach erosion. Isn't that what you
Yes,
put on
sir.
social media there?
Amen. Well, for those of you that don't
I made
know,
that all up.
Yeah,
by the way.
the dredging is why we actually have sand renourishment. A couple of attorneys / surfers from Cocoa Beach actually sued the federal government and the Army Corps of Engineers to get sand put back on our beaches because of this impact from the port. Because when they dredge, it basically removes all the sand southward. And if you were around in the 80s in Cocoa Beach, at high tide, there was no beach. The waves would literally come up to the stairwells. There was no sand. So hopefully we can work together on this. Thank you very much, Commissioner Willis.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Williams?
This is kind of a public safety announcement. We're at the Space Center. Coming out of the Space Center Tuesday. Before I even got to the far gate, which is open to the public because of the way you can go north to the visitor center, but there was a car that didn't even hit a vehicle. That it was a sedan, and the debris field was 300 yards long. The car flipped multiple times. It was on its side. It looked like it had been out at car smashing place. They airlifted the person, whether they lived or not, I don't know, to Holmes. So they were obviously doing something wrong for that to happen. But then on the way home today on State Road 3, right at before you get coming south, before you get to the Barge Canal, right by the Moose Club, I guess somebody was trying to pull out, turn left into the northbound lanes at that intersection, and somebody hit that vehicle, and the two vehicles were at least 200 feet apart where they were stopped. So somebody was going way too fast, and there was debris from the vehicles in the southbound lanes, 150 feet from the impact site. So, you may drive really careful, but you really don't be distracted, because you may have to go into a defensive driving maneuver
at any time to avoid that kind of stuff. And, you know, the whole front of this, it was 2 pickups, and the one pickup, everything from the firewall forward was gone and laying down the street. And the other truck was, you know, all the airbags were off, and it almost went into that retention pond. But just, you know, be super careful when you're driving. And if, you know, I had an aggressive driver. I'm driving to work at 5:30 this morning, and I'm going, please plug your ears. I was going like 41 in 35, and there was a car kind of in front of me about up here. I'm going along, you know, and I could see the light in front of me was, you know, down the road, was turning red. And when we got up to the light, when we pulled away, the guy that was behind that guy says, "Hey, idiot, the left lane's for passing, you know, move over if you're gonna drive slow as shit." I'm like, come on, people, you know. Yeah, at 5:30 in the morning. And then he never even got out of my sight, though. You know, I let him by, and he never even got out of my sight. Caught him at every red light, you know. But, you know, I'm sorry about the language, but I'm just quoting what he said. Anyway, be careful on the roads. I've had my little incident on the road, and I don't want anybody else to have an incident on the road.
Thank you. Enlightening. Follow that, Commissioner Hutchinson.
Nothing for me.
Just 2 quick things. So we are coming up on hurricane season. It started. There are 4, I think, tropical waves out there right now. I don't want to see all you firefighters anytime soon. Much as I love spending the night there in the station, it's lost its charm after the 3rd time. Just, you know, make your preparations. I will tell you, if you have any vegetation near power line, for the love of God, call FPL and get that stuff off there, because those will be the last homes to get power. My neighbors caused me to be in the last 10%, so it's not pleasant. So just preemptively, and, you know, 2 days before the storm is not the time to go chopping trees down. That being said, just the 2 quick things also. Main Street started, actually, myself and former resident Craig Harriman, who's no longer here, we went and did some tours through the city. When we first got elected, a couple of us went on tours to some other cities. Went to New Smyrna, Titusville, Cocoa, and downtown Melbourne. And we basically wanted to see what they were doing to create a more vibrant downtown, because downtown was plumbing stores and AC contractors, and not that I have anything against those businesses, but we needed something besides that. And Craig actually was one of the first that started the business incubator that housed the Tiny Turtle and the Fat Donkey, little trivia for you, that are now quite successful. He also started Friday Fest. So that's where we got the idea, and Main Street evolved, and the community paramedic program is something I've been wanting to do. Mayor Beeler was very supportive of that, and actually it was another good idea that we just borrowed from Satellite Beach. So again, there's great ideas out there. You just have to go borrow them and talk to our neighbors, and that's how you move forward. All right, moving right along. Speaking of moving forward, City Attorney, we're done. Consent agenda, please.
Okay, this is the consent agenda. Item 1, approve the June 1st, 2023 Commission meeting minutes. Representative, City Clerk Department, recommendation approved. Item 2, adopt an updated emergency pay policy for city employees during states of emergency. The existing policy requires annual review and update according to federal, state, and local emergency management guidance. Once adopted, the policy will be sent along with records related to the city during states of emergency, with proper timekeeping documents and required paperwork for the recoupment of funds. Representative Ryan Duckworth, Fire Chief, recommendation approved. Item 3, confirm the following commission meeting changes. A, cancel the July 6, 2023 regular meeting. B, reschedule the July 11, 2023 special meeting on the budget to July 18, 2023 at 6 p.m. C, hold the regularly scheduled meeting of July 20th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Representative Robin R. Hayes, City Manager. Recommendation approved.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. City Attorney, item J1.
Okay, consider ordinance number 1678 on first reading, an ordinance of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, creating a new Chapter 13.5 noise, providing findings of fact, providing adoption, providing for enforcement, providing means and method of determining excessive noise, providing that excessive noise is a code violation, declaring that excessive noise is a public nuisance, providing exemptions, and providing for conflicts, codification, severability, and effective date. Ordinance number 1678 would provide for the creation of a new Chapter 13.5 noise and provide for clarification of the city's definition of excessive noise, outlining enforcement measures, and establishes new dates and times for enforcement related to excessive noise. Representative City Commission recommendation adopt on first reading.
I move to adopt ordinance 1678 on the first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We do have some cards. I would like give people the opportunity to speak. So we'll take public comments. Dana Hutcherson. Thank you.
Dana Hutcherson, 1 Azalea, Cocoa Beach, 2,200 feet from Minutemen and Atlantic Avenue. I'm speaking today as a resident, very passionate about this city. I love this community. I love the neighborhood that I live in. I love the businesses. I love all the restaurants. I've lived in this area for 23 years, 12 of those years in Cocoa Beach in this residence. But about 6 months ago, we had a relatively peaceful community, and it seems to have changed. I appreciate the questions and concerns of the businesses with respect to the noise ordinance, as I do not want to put anyone out of business. But the ordinance update is not shutting the businesses down. Furthermore, the ordinance is not shutting down entertainment, just managing the sound at the source. I've been following this issue very closely. I hear it in my backyard all the time. But I would like to address several points in several of the public conversations as of recent. Rocket launches, let's talk about that a little bit. As mentioned in a previous meeting, the launches are relatively short, minutes as opposed to hours of a concert. I would argue that these rocket launches are likely bringing in the tourists that are supporting these businesses. Personally, I moved here because of the rocket launches, but we won't talk about that right now. There's also a point about city hiring a sound engineer to make recommendations. It was pointed out in the previous assessment, this was done years ago, that did not change the ordinance that still stands many years later. I don't feel that the residents should have to pay for an engineer to provide answers to the test, nor should the commission provide any solutions to these residents. You'll be held accountable for that. It is not Cocoa Beach's responsibility to provide the answer to the requirement question by telling them what to do to address the noise with certain sound barriers or protection. Nor should Cocoa Beach provide any of the sound protections, as there are other budget priorities that you guys talk about quite frequently. Someone asked what we would do without this entertainment, this loud entertainment at night. Where would we go late on a Sunday night or Sunday through Thursday night? I would argue the same thing that residents have done prior to this entertainment being loud late at night. Residential demand for Cocoa Beach has been high long before downtown entertainment growth. One quick example, a couple weekends ago, we chose to go camping 0.17 miles in an RV from the St. Augustine Amphitheater Stage Center. We were able to enjoy a peaceful, relaxing night while a professional concert was playing 900 feet away from us. It can be done, capturing the sound at the source for those that choose to enjoy the entertainment. While I appreciate the entertainment options, it is not respectful. Pastor Capizzi, if he were here, would to have said, It's not respectful to the working residents. I did not move here for concerts in my backyard and at times in the front yard too. We are sharing a piece of our paradise with you, not the other way around, and I fully support the commission to proceed with updating the ordinance to support the residents. If you shelve this now, what's going to stop a new business owner to understand these challenges that you guys have been facing and the history that's taken place over the last several months? Thank you.
Connie Duncan?
Hello, I'm Connie Duncan. I have the Beach Shack. I'm the owner of the Beach Shack. And I just wanted to say that as a business owner, and most of the business owners that I know welcome Area 142. We would like to help them to overcome this problem that they have right now with the noise. We are also in support of our residents as well as our business community. And I'm hoping, that there's a possibility that we get together and help them. I don't think that just the times are going to solve the issue. I spoke a little bit with the owner and talked about possibly putting some thick foliage around the perimeter of the area to buffer some of the sound. But I would like to also bring up that we do have Friday Fest with an open air music going on. It doesn't seem to be a huge problem with having bands out there for the Friday Fest once a month. So I don't know if it is the size of the amps being used or what it is, but we certainly want them to be successful. As a business owner, we are happy to have them because it brings people into our downtown area. They go from one place to the next, to the next, to the next. They buy gasoline. They go to the grocery store. They do other things other than just go into our bars and restaurants. So I hope that we can all come together and not be angry about the situation, and that we can help them to be successful as a business in Cocoa Beach, and that we can all be happy together. It was a little bit startling to see on the news everything. I think that kind of stirs things up and emotions with the community when they hear such, clashing of the minds between the residents and the business owners. So I'm just hoping that we can all come together and help them a little bit, and other businesses too. I don't think that during the day, during the night, during the week, there were very, very few places that have music. So the 9 o'clock thing is just really, I don't think that's really an issue. Most bars, if they do have entertainment during the week, it's karaoke. So it's one person getting up and singing. They don't have bands out there. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I just hope that the community can come together and be a little bit more supportive for each other. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Renee Parker.
Hello, my name's Renee Parker, 108 Joe Place, Cape Canaveral, Florida. I'm representing Orange County government. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. I'm really coming to you to try to understand, and my comment is, our comment is mainly responsive on the mechanics and the implementation and how an investigating officer would be measuring the distance according to under your new section 13.5-20, paren C, I, and 2, which is the 100 feet or more in distance from any property line originating between the hours of 11 p.m. through 7 a.m. on Friday night through Saturday morning, and then that Saturday night through Sunday morning between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. And then under that paren 2 is implementing the plainly audible standard at the measured 500 feet or more. So the mechanics, I would like to know, how is it legally defensible as far as the investigating officer? What instruments or measurement devices will they be used? I think that it's important that the public and the regulated entities know how that distance is going to be used to be legally defensible. That's all my comment.
Thank you. Bill Geiger.
Hello, my name is Bill Geiger. I'm like 58-year resident, although that doesn't really mean anything because it's just my opinion. I'm sorry I got here a little late as far as this process, but I do have some issues. I do note in the ordinance that there's mention of quiet enjoyment. Quiet enjoyment is a legal term that has nothing to do with sound, and I'd like to see maybe you change that verbiage to something that has to do with sound. I'm sure the attorney probably will agree with me. That's a real estate term for tenants' rights. It has nothing to do with sound. So maybe you could look at that word in the proposed ordinance. I don't see any provisions for fireworks on the 4th of July or New Year's Eve. Whether we want them or not, I don't know, but it's probably worth considering because the city sets off fireworks too, and I know the city's exempt, but that could be an issue. In the Florida statutes, on almost every sound ordinance issue, they use the term line of sight. And I don't see that in the verbiage of how the sound is being measured. And so I think it may be important that we insert somewhere in the verbiage line of sight, that the officer has to have a line of sight to the source of noise, because that's consistent with the Florida statutes. An officer's opinion of sound is subjective. It's not objective. I'm sorry. It's objective. This is a sound level meter. I was measuring Commissioner Williams as he spoke, and it hardly even registered on my meter, which is a whole other issue we need to deal with sometime because the acoustics in here are horrible. But I don't think that an officer's opinion of sound is enough. I know this has been dealt with over and over and over again, but the state will provide these to the city along with training for nothing. All we have to do is ask. So I don't see why we can't include something in the ordinance that has a qualitative aspect to it, just to back up the subjective opinion of the officers. My office is at 4th Street North, just north of the 4th Street. I'm not picking on businesses, but I'm just saying it's terrible in the Saturday afternoon hearing a boom, boom, boom that radiates from them or any other. I'm not picking on that. I'm just saying that's an example. So the components of sound are very important to consider, not just sound alone. I don't see this ordinance relates to that or addresses that. And also, I found it very interesting that in the Florida statutes, there's a provision that says that municipalities and no local authorities shall enact or enforce any ordinance on a matter covered in this section unless expressly authorized. So I don't even know that we have the authority to do this without, considering what the state ordinances ask us to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Byron.
Melissa Byron, Cocoa Beach. The difference is that Friday Fest is one time a month and it stops at 10. They're on Friday. We have the art show that has bands. They stop at 10. I don't think the ordinance is being extremely restrictive by saying at 9 o'clock on Sunday through Thursday. It is a work week. It is a school week. I think the changes I've been a resident here forever, which again, as Bill said, doesn't make any difference, except it's just the change of the entertainment. When Jenna's Breezeways did theirs, it was at acoustic. They had acoustic guitar, and it was at a lower key. The Area 142 was the surf, Bernard Surf. Totally different type of businesses that are moving into downtown. We found that during COVID that we had over 34 new restaurants and businesses move in downtown because of the improvements the city made with drainage and with Minuteman, streetscape. It's just a matter of, again, toning it down so the neighbors who live close by won't be bombarded, and turning your stages. I mean, all stages for any special event has been, if you notice, the Friday Fest used to have their stage up by Atlantic Avenue. It's always now in Brevard, pointing towards the east, always pointing towards the ocean, trying to give some relief to the neighborhoods that are behind them. So it's just a matter of being more respectful and realizing that the music has changed, that is bringing a different type of tourists to downtown, but maybe we could just change it a little bit less loud.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commission. Waylon Locklear, 1825 Minuteman. I emailed you about what I thought about the Area 142 situation, and to answer some of the questions and answers to some of the issues that were brought up tonight are simple. They make digital tape measures so the cop can shoot a laser beam from one spot to another and easily figure out 100 feet. But I'd like to read to you what I wrote. Thank you for taking time and effort to revisit the outdated noise ordinance. It's wonderful to see all the new businesses and events flourishing in the downtown Cocoa Beach area. Area 142 is not one of these businesses we are excited about in our community. When Area 142 was under construction, we were looking forward to having cocktails after dinner, having lunch on Saturday, and enjoying what we thought was going to be a great place to relax. We were wrong in thinking this. 142 has become a regular concert venue and nightclub. We were told by a manager prior to their opening that they would have food trucks lining the property and it would be a fun family place. Instead, we have multiple stages, one huge concert stage, another for a DJ. How did this ever get approved and permitted? 142 is ruining the quality of life here in Cocoa Beach. There are other local places that have created outdoor concert stages. Salty Sisters, Jonathan's, Coconuts, Friday Fest. Other than Friday Fest, all of these other businesses have constructed permanent, small footprint stages. Small footprint. And they're permanent. The other thing I appreciate about these businesses are I didn't bring my glasses, so I can't read my letter. I apologize. Actually, I do. Do you have a pair? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Much better. Other than Friday Fest, all of the other businesses have constructed permanent small footprint stages. The other thing I appreciate about these three businesses and one event is that they only have live music periodically, being considerate to the local community. For that, I believe the local community has accepted and embraced them and wishes them well. Unfortunately, the bad behavior of 142 is going to potentially ruin that for others. 142 is the complete opposite, as they have constructed this Montrose temporary stage, huge footprint, along with multiple other temporary structures, including the tacky perimeter fence. The biggest problem I have is their lack of respect to local residents. I saw a News 13 story. May I continue?
Real quick, sir, if you would.
I saw a News 13 story on June 13th, whereas the manager stated that they have received much support. The people supporting them are not your Cocoa Beach taxpayer citizens. They are out-of-town visitors coming to party. The 142 business does not have our support, and we don't appreciate their selfish ambition and bad behavior in our community. 142 has become an outdoor concert venue and nightclub. I ask again, how do these temporary structures, perimeter fencing, and business activities get approved and permitted? Building code. Furthermore, limit the stage footage, square footage, and height of the stage. For any venue using a temporary stage and meets size requirements, will only be allowed 12 concert permits per year. I'm almost done. Limit the hours of the live music on the weekdays, Sunday through Thursday to 9 p.m., weekends, Friday, Saturday to 10 p.m. We do not want Cocoa Beach to become a downtown Orlando Church Street station. This will increase and invite crime, drugs, violence, DUIs, and hurt the local people and your constituents. We do not have the police resources to provide necessary security, and we don't want our taxes raised because additional police and security resources are needed to pay for services to monitor 142's bad behavior. Thank you for reading my email, and I appreciate your support.
Hello, my name is Dave Rubel. I'm a concert promoter. I work hand in hand with Area 142. I first off want to thank the police officers and the firefighters for their service. Sometimes that's a thankless job. I wish Penny was still here. Maybe she is. I didn't see her. But if Penny could come back up here and repeat her bylaws, you would find that 95% of what she said is parallel with the goals of Area 142. We are providing all kinds of different entertainment for all ages, young and not so young. Just kidding me. No, all ages. There's kids out there playing football. There's all kinds of people out there. And we're also looking into areas of fundraisers for different groups to benefit the community. I also want you to please recognize that we have taken steps, moving the stage, moving speakers, just taking any advice you might have to work through this process. We take pride in keeping a safe environment and a great family atmosphere. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Good evening, guys. My name is Nevada Hatfield. I'm the operator and general manager of the Dunes, 321 Eats and Atlantic Liquors. I've spoken the last 2 times, and it hurts me even to read this. Before I come up here, I'm an honest guy, just, speak from my heart, my business, my employees. But we're getting to a point that the lack of support and due diligence this council is gambling via sanctions against small businesses imposing on our operations, via noise rations is concerning, negligent, petty, and very anti-business for Cocoa Beach. The Old Boys Network is alive and strong here, thriving here in Cocoa Beach via our city council. This noise ordinance is bigger than letting residents have peace of mind at 11 p.m. on a weekend night or at 9 p.m. on a weekday. It's city council's backdoor politics and heavy hands to not allow economic development to happen or thrive unless the Old Boys Network can control it. And it hurts me to say that, but it needs to be said. Our alliance of small businesses is strong and unified amongst here of the block of Cocoa Beach and other businesses here in Cocoa Beach. Let me be perfectly clear. The city has too many fights and negative actions already in their own closet that's getting exposed, but you guys aren't picking your battles correct or going about it the right way. In Sanford or downtown Orlando, they do a permit-based. They don't do sanction. They don't do fines. You want to event, you want to have noise, you have to pay to play, you have to do the permit, we'll approve it, we'll get the proper infrastructure, and the business has to pay for that. Battles of the small business owners will only put the council versus small business owners in a heightened fight that will turn legal. That's the last thing any of us needs, but that's where it's headed. If we get hit with $1,000 fines, that's taking away our livelihood. That's taking away my employees' livelihood. That is taking away the actual aspect why we came 6 months ago to buy the old Lulu's, the old Spirits, and that redevelop that whole property for the platform, for the residents of Cocoa Beach. We aren't coming in to make a profit, trust me. This property was so expensive, we're not going to see a return probably for 5 years. We want to can put out the best product we can for Cocoa Beach, of my owners that are veteran-owned, and they grew up in this town. They wanted the best product and everything else. This is their little baby out on Cocoa Beach. But now we're hit with all these restraints and complications of threats to our livelihood and the business. For small business owners, the economic impact that this council is threatening against us on 11 p.m. on a weekend night in Cocoa Beach, a tourist town. Council members, this is not the Villages. We are not in the Villages. We are Cocoa Beach. It is a tourist town. Let's not be or act like the Villages. Last meeting, I voiced to all of you that none of any of y'all have came into any of my 3 businesses and sat down and talked to me about economic impact of what this is going to do to hurt my livelihood, my owners, and my employees. If you stop music at 10 p.m. and 11 on the outside, my employees base off tips. They're all legally, we do everything from W-2s, but from 10 to 2 a.m., they're making their livelihood of their lives. I ask for one more minute. So it hurts whenever you guys don't even come down and do your due diligence to discuss about this noise ordinance, how it's going to impact our livelihood of the business owners. Now, all of you, once again, are not acting in good faith and doing your due diligence of the impact of your decisions. None of you still have not come through my 3 businesses, like I said. This is a serious alternative ordinance that you guys are trying to impose on us, and all I ask is that you guys do your due diligence. Like Councilwoman said, get the sound engineer, have the professionals come in and direct us, because we're heading towards a sinking ship that we don't know what's happening. We're in a heightened state as business owners. It's causing conflict with the residents that we love, with the council. We don't want to be in this position. Councilman Capizzi last time said he's like, I'm very pro small business, I'm very pro business, and he talked to me after a little bit, but I looked at him and I'm like, where's the disconnect? The disconnect is we have thriving businesses here in Cocoa Beach. We have thriving businesses waiting. I know, listen, I got 3 businesses, 3 minutes each, but I'm 30 more seconds.
No.
All I'm saying, as a business, I really hope that we do not make the wrong decision and you guys come very heavy-handed and in the wrong direction where we have to not be able to work together in this beautiful community that we have in Cocoa Beach. Thank you.
All right, my name is Chelsea Delgado. I actually just moved to Florida a little less than a year ago. I actually worked at Area 142 when I first got here and got settled on Beachside. From Ohio, this community is absolutely amazing. I mean, I wish I grew up in a community like this where anything is possible. Taking a job at a place like Area 142 is completely unknown in my community. Like, it's a huge opportunity. It's a beautiful community. I get to drive down A1A to go to work every day. I've really enjoyed working here with these people, and they really have. Every time I would go into work, they really did do what they had to do to make the next best step for the employees, for the community. I got so close with these community members, residents, your guys' neighbors I worked with, and I would hang out with their kids, and they were so grateful to have a place to go for their kids and for the adults. And I have never felt so safe. I came from a really bad situation in Ohio. This place gave me security. They gave me a place to work where I could go and I could have fun, I could be me, and I was valued for that. I see the community members and I hear all of your guys' concerns, and it's all so valid. Coming as an outsider, I hear everything and I'm like, God, it all makes sense. I mean, I hear everybody's side. It makes sense. But what you guys have here in Florida, here in Cocoa Beach, is so beautiful. And I've seen everybody work together. I know that there's so much strife right now with all of the new stuff that's happening, but we're dealing with that everywhere. We're dealing with that all over the world, and we're all still trying to find our way through this. I really hope to see this business strive and grow, and that you residents are heard also, though. You know, everybody deserves their choice to speak and say how they feel, but we can also just have a conversation. Let's find a way to all work together and come up with a solution.
And I haven't been here like very long, okay, and I don't really have a place to be here, but sometimes an outside perspective is a fresh one. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, I love being able to call this Cocoa Beach my new home, you know, and to have such, just to listen, your story about the traffic and the distracted driving was perfect. I wish my teenager was here to listen to this. I wish that we had council meetings like this where where everybody was just cared, where everybody cared. You guys all care, and it's being heard. And I hope everybody has a solution here where you guys can all work this together. But I just, from an outside perspective, wanted to say that you guys are really awesome, and you guys are doing really great, and I know that you guys are going to be able to find a solution to this.
Hold on. No.
Hey guys, how we doing? Chris Saunders, owner of ResPro, the production provider for Area 142. So plain and simple, I wanted to implore you to please research the City of Cocoa Sound Ordinance. One city over, namely Cocoa Village. I spoke with Gail, who runs Cocoa Village, and she provided me the link. It's Article 11, Section 2, 402, parenthesis S. Real quickly, it says, any event which utilizes sound amplification systems shall limit the sound level to a maximum of 98 decibels A-weighted and a maximum of 100 decibels C, measured at the special event soundboard in a manner as to present an accurate representation of the sound. Now this is, again, we've been running at Area 142 at the soundboard at less than 90, easily, which is very, very, very acceptable. And again, we do have to look at, and also the bands and whatnot, the artists that we bring into the business, it's also their employment. That's how they make their money as well. So not only are we having the local bands coming in there, if we can't have them playing, they're also taking more money out of more local residents. So again, please, I implore you, look into other ordinances around us, because some of them actually work, and this is one that does. Thank you.
Thank you. We got a lot to go through.
10 seconds.
My name is John Coons, and prior to coming to Florida, I used to run the biggest outdoor music venue in North America. And many of these ordinances we faced throughout my years with that company. I advise you, reach out to the Village of Tinley Park in Chicago, Illinois. We had to measure sound, top of the hill. We did those things. Ask them about the growth of the business, what they did for the community, the graduations, the kids events, the movie nights, things like that. If you don't reach out to people who experience this, you won't understand what you're going to lose by shutting this down. You don't want these kids out at private parties, drinking, things like this. We have an area we can actually work together and create events. If you haven't experienced it, you would know better. So I just advise you, reach out to some of these other areas, reach out to these venues. Village of Tinley Park will tell you it would have been the most crucial mistake they would have did if they shut that down. And we're here to help Eddie and his staff to do this right. That's it.
Anyone else? All right. That closes public comment. City Attorney, I mean, we've gone through this. You know, we keep hearing the word decibel meter, and I don't know how many times we have to iterate the same thing, but can you please tell us what the legal challenges are with that and why we have a legally defensible ordinance in front of us?
The case law in Florida is very, very clear that the plainly audible at a distance is perfectly acceptable for purposes of determining whether there's a noise violation. There are issues with regard to the decibel readers because what we are trying to find out is how far the sound carries. That's the problem that we're trying to address. When the sound is outside and it's facing a certain way, then it can go a very long way. We've got a lot of bodies of water around. We have wind that carries the sound. And the problems we have are with the sound at a distance. So that's what we are measuring here. The decibel reader, particularly if there are multiple venues that are putting out sound, it is virtually impossible to prove that the decibels you're reading are the decibels from area 142 versus Coconuts, for instance. They're quite close. So as far as how do we find out what the distance is, I suspect that the officers are going to have maps of the downtown area which show the distances. So they will know if they're on the corner of this street, they're within 100 feet of a particular area, or within 500 feet if they're on a different corner. So that shouldn't be a problem. And as far as line of sight is concerned, it's very difficult to have a line of sight downtown because it is so heavily built up. What else?
There is, on page 5 of this ordinance in paragraph B2, there is a reference to the officer having a direct line of hearing to the area.
A direct line of hearing.
Right.
So he hears it. In other words, he can go, he hears that they're playing a particular song, and he walks 100 feet away or he walks 500 feet away. He's hearing the sound. But he won't necessarily be able to see it. It's not a line of sight.
Yeah. And just to add, I mean, those of you that don't know, I've been here 11 years, and I actually have been trying to get the downtown revitalized since that period. We've gotten there. You know, what's interesting, though, is I have the business certificate for this use for 142. It says bar restaurant. Here's the problem. This wasn't approved as an outdoor amphitheater, and that's what it's turned into. So that wasn't the approved use.
And if you'll notice on there, it does say that it is subject to one of our, right now, we have 2 different noise ordinances. This is yet a third. But it references one of them, and the one that it references is the one that says that it can't be any louder than is necessary in order for the people within the facility to comfortably hear it. So it can't be louder than that.
And I think if people want to make a choice to go somewhere and listen to music, that's their individual choice. We've had live music downtown. Connie's had her bar for 40 years. Never had a complaint. Why? Because her music outside stops at 6, moves inside, blocked, the noise is facing the ocean. It's really that simple. This wasn't meant to ever be an outdoor amphitheater for large-scale rock concerts. It just wasn't. And it certainly wasn't approved legally to do that. So that's my hang-up with it. I mean, the residents do have some rights. They can make a choice to go or not go. They don't have to be bombarded by it. I think that's where you're not respecting the residents. Go ahead.
As far as this particular ordinance is written, I think it's very reactive. The first point of data that I heard and was that from 60 feet from the property line of Area 142 at a concert on a Sunday, it measured 72 dB. That's us talking right now, maybe 72. Now, I might even be talking louder than that. So then Chris also brought the data point saying he measures the dB to be below 90 dB from his soundboard at the soundboard. And from there, it propagates, it lessens. So I'm really trying to see what technically the problem is here. Clearly audible is, I mean, that could change from hour to minute to temperature. That's what makes this ordinance so reactive. I mean, we got Jonathan's, we got Salty Sisters. They have houses right behind them. So we're gonna violate them every time they play music? So you're gonna put them out of business? That's not very business supportive of our city. Also with this ordinance, we're kind of asking our police officers to almost be sound engineers. Like, okay, listen to it and see from this distance and see what you think. I mean, this all leads to, like, we need to find the root of the problem. I mean, I'm not even seeing technically what the problem is because the dB readings don't support it from the distances given. So I'm still of the opinion that we need to hire an acoustic engineer to figure out what the problem is, to offer solutions. They can offer how to measure it if we need to measure it, where the sound propagates, where it comes from, what the actual problem is that people are hearing. It's not just Area 142. And Area 142 and all the businesses aren't even that loud from those distances. I'm not convinced there's a technical problem here. And that's what I want to find out with an acoustic engineer and see what they advise to do to help the people who are having an issue with the sound. I mean, as far as the city paying for it, I mean, maybe we could get together and have the businesses come together and go 50-50 or make some kind of agreement that they'll help us pay for it. Maybe we can get Main Street involved and they can help get a solution with the downtown and paying. And I think there's several ways we could go about figuring out how to pay for it. But I mean, we don't know what the root cause of the problem is and what the complaints that we're hearing. Everybody's pointing at Area 142. From the data points, that's not even a technical problem. So I still say we get a sound engineer involved and figure out how to fund it. I mean, frankly, we just approved $150,000 for a feasibility study for Marina that could jeopardize our $36 million grant. So I think this is important enough that we could spend money on just like that to help alleviate this situation. I think that's where I stand for now. I think we're being reactive with this ordinance. We need to figure out what the problem is, find the data, and see if we even need to adjust the ordinance or how we need to adjust it. So I still stand with that.
Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about. Yeah, I'm not going to name specific words because that's not my intent. My intent is not to single out anybody. I just think we have an unenforceable noise ordinance from the 60s, right? It's wrong terms. We agreed that we were going to leverage what worked, the plainly audible after 11, and apply that before 11. So it's getting a clean standard that we can all measure to. We were going to discuss the distances and the times, and I think this is what we settled on. But at the end of the day, I think it's containment of noise. It's as simple as that. You can have it as loud as you want. We're not trying to shut down businesses, but don't let it propagate into a different zone. Don't let commercial noise get into residential. That's the root cause. There's ways to solve that. I read through that 2019 report that was focused on island time, and it was centered heavily around building structure to contain the noise. So I think, certainly you can get a specific version for the downtown areas, but I don't think you need to go that far. I think the concept of just containing the noise is the problem. I don't think there's many residences that want to see businesses shut down. I think, as a matter of fact, the fact that we've grown as a city and not had many complaints with a 6-year-old noise ordinance, I think reflects how much citizens do support businesses and not having to call them every time, every Friday night if it's loud. I don't think that's what the intent is. I think the intent is to get the noise ordinance a clean standard we can all manage to. And again, contain the noise. It can be done. Like my wife said, we were 700 feet from a 4,000 person stadium, nationally known act, and you could sleep right through it because it had a structure around it, it had a tent, foliage. That's my thoughts on it.
And I think that's the key. That's why we, until a year ago or 6 months ago, we never had these complaints.
Right.
There's been live music downtown for 4 decades. Never had the issue. The prior owner of 321 Lulu's, my son-in-law's a musician, by the way. He played there, but it was inside. And he didn't have the speaker blaring outside that you could hear it 2 blocks down the street. I mean, come on. It's just common sense, guys. It's really not that complicated. So, I'm done.
I'd like to call the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Passes 3-1. City Attorney next.
Item 2, discuss placing on the July 20th, 2023 City Commission agenda the adoption of a resolution establishing the civil penalties associated with the violation of the noise ordinance as follows. First offense, $250. Second offense, $500. Third offense, $1,000. Representative Vice Mayor Keith Capizzi, recommendation discuss.
I would like to give Vice Mayor Capizzi his prerogative and place this on the agenda for the July 20th meeting. And as far as the amounts of the fines and all that, we can discuss that at that meeting. And I would, it's by resolution, doesn't have to be advertised, that's correct?
Not the resolution.
No.
It can be changed at that meeting. It
Yes,
doesn't
and
have to be this specific language.
I would like to mention that under Florida
Should I finish?
statutes.
Should I get
I'm sorry.
agreement on my motion before we discuss?
Second to discuss.
I just wanted to mention that under Florida statutes and under our code, we could change our code, but we really can't change our code because Florida statutes puts a cap at $500.
Okay, well, those kind of, please bring all information to bear.
Sure.
At the July 20th meeting, as far as even craft a draft resolution,
Sure.
okay? And we'll discuss it then. All in favor?
I'd have one other comment. Go ahead.
Nay.
Just on the 500 by the third offense, if you're a third offender, at some point, you're not getting the message. I think that needs to be per occurrence, not per day. And we have a nuisance ordinance for Airbnbs that have 3 strikes. I think we need to apply the same. And look at something like that, tighten up that ordinance. Again, for 4 decades, not had this problem. Why is it now? It's real simple. You guys need to work with us. We're tired of it.
I want to say one comment on that is a lot of things, we're focused on the noise. My bigger concern is the safety side. We saw what happened in downtown Melbourne recently, and I'm not saying that's attributed to the noise, but when you're bringing in a lot of people, there's a lot of different outlooks. So I think it's just a recipe for bigger public safety issues, and I'll leave it at that.
All right.
I would love to have cruise ship passengers coming in, family-friendly, toting their kids, but I don't think that's what the majority of the customers are.
All right. Motion and a second to discuss. We're putting it on the 20th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Passes 3-1. City Attorney, item 3.
Okay, item 3, adopt ordinance number 1677 on second reading, public hearing and adoption. An ordinance of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, amending the Land Development Code by adding a provision to section 4.43 of Article 4, variance, waiver, and special exception regarding certain special exceptions for owners of property within the Town Center Redevelopment District providing for conflicts, codification, severability, and an effective date. Currently, if an applicant wants to request to adjust or modify their previously granted special exception, they would need to submit for a new special exception. Ordinance number 1677 would create the ability for owners within the town center redevelopment district to submit for a modification of their existing special exception, even when their item is no longer a permitted use. The planning board heard this item at their May 1st, 2023 public meeting and made a recommendation of approval. Representative Tanja McCoy, Development Services Director, recommendation adopt.
Move to adopt ordinance 1677 on the second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any
Roll call vote.
discussion, public comment? None? City clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Hutchinson?
Aye.
Commissioner Willis?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Mayor Mallon?
Aye. Passes 4-0. City Attorney, read item 4, please, J4.
Okay, item 4, request to proceed with phase 3 of the renovations and repairs of the deferred maintenance issues at the Cocoa Beach Country Club located at 5000 Tom Warner Boulevard. Phase 3 upgrades include furniture and fixtures at a cost of $126,358. This phase would be paid with projected revenue increases in golf play and the restaurant. This is not a budgeted item. Representatives, Robin R. Hayes, City Manager, Wayne Caragino, Assistant to City Manager. Recommendation approved.
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion?
Just real quick, there's a projection that the revenue increases in golf play in the restaurant will, eventually pay back this cost, which is fine by me. But I don't know, this is an enterprise fund, I don't know how the accounting would work. We got revenue above in golf and revenue above in the restaurant. How would the accounting work where that goes back to pay back the general fund for this loan, so to speak?
Again, because it is general fund, so the way that the funding source, the budget would be increased for this, and we would increase the revenue. So you're going to increase revenue and increase expenditures. The budget would allow for the PO to be issued to be able to move forward. At that point in time, at the end of the year, when we adjust out all the revenues coming in, actuals, it's posted. If there's not enough revenues in there, then we would have to look to other revenue sources within the golf course to move those funds over. But at this point in time, most of the, I think the golf plays already probably close to half of that at this point in time already received, maybe just a little bit less of that, and the restaurant's already been taking in additional revenue. So again, it's the way that we finance it.
I just think you could actually take out that sentence, this phase would be paid for with projected revenue increases in golf play and restaurant, because it's kind of just.
But we are making sure that they do carry their own, so that's why we put that in there in a conversation with you as
all
the
right.
commission.
Enough said. I support.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. City Attorney, item K1.
Okay, item K1, new business, presentation of the summary of business conducted by the Golf Task Force. Representatives, Patricia Draycott, Chief Financial Officer, Task Force Chair, Larry McLean, Leisure Services Director. Recommendation, acknowledge presentation.
Very nice.
I'd like to acknowledge the presentation. Visit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the task force was kind of, from the commission meeting where this was discussed, our takeaways were these were the 5 questions that were really being asked to consider. Ways to elevate existing amenities and how to generate revenue flow to cover the costs associated with those changes or improvements. Whether the golf course is a financial strain on the city, and have the recommendations from Dr. Gregory that were implemented in May improved or lessened the strain? Are the current revenues covering the costs of current services? Will the current revenues cover the current capital improvement projects? And ways to increase or add revenue to support future improvements? And just to kind of give you a real overview of what we were looking at that kind of addresses some of those first questions, is as of today, we are just under 71% of the fiscal year complete. And the total revenues that have been collected at this point are about 84% of the budgeted amount, the amended budget. If you look at all of the divisions within the golf course, that's the administration, that's the staff and the golf and the pro shop and the management, looking at the golf course maintenance itself, and looking at the restaurant, the average of those 3 divisions is just about 75%. So you can see that there's about a 9%, just looking at it in terms of where you're at with your revenues compared to where you're at with your expenditures. Your revenues are outpacing by about 9%. In addition, part of the task force asked for financial information. That's this little page. I think you've seen that before. At that time, looking at all of the revenues received to date for the 3 divisions, looking at all the expenditures, they were looking at roughly a $270,000 negative where the expenditures exceeded the revenue. Looking at it today, their expenditures are exceeding revenues by just over $9,000. So we can see where those changes that you put in place in May are actually reducing that strain and improving the revenues are actually starting to really cover those costs of providing those services. And to answer your question, Commissioner, one of the things that we did look at in making that calculation for are we anticipating that we're going to end the year with adequate revenues and or reduce in the expenditures to cover those costs, we did look at where are we with respect to the revenues as far as the budget, as well as Mr. Joe Tucker did look at the actual play from when that went in, and he looked at a 2-month period and compared what that play would have been at the previous rates comparative to the changed rates. And that's where we got that amount of the 80,000 calculation of increased revenue on golf play. And the restaurant was just taking the difference between the increase in the costs of the supplies going into the restaurant versus the cost of the revenue coming in. So we are making a positive change there. We started out looking very, very big picture and ended up bringing it down to these kind of talking points or recommendations for consideration by you, the commissioner. Several of the ideas that the task force came up with really looked at doing some small changes that can make a really positive difference to how we use this facility. A couple of those are specifically dependent on having a new position with the facility that looks at an actual chef, and we're not talking 5-star Michelin, but somebody who can bring a more elegant option to the dinner table in presentation, in the quality of food. And by having that, can do things like maybe having an elegant dinner on the fairway with dancing, or having a concert where you can get a picnic from the golf course restaurant and take your picnic on the fairway and enjoy a concert, or having a wine tasting where you have a cheese platter and a fruit platter to go with it. But these are changes that would be really dependent on somebody who could deliver those things.
Would this be more appropriate, instead of trying to discuss 17 items, have a workshop and be able to actually invite the public in to talk about what they might agree with?
Again, if that's your desire to do so, we can do that.
Versus, broad brushing it right now.
I mean, they had a golf task that was open to the public, right?
Yes,
So,
and some of these are from those comments.
Right. But that was task force. And this would be, basically a workshop, like we did before. You put, out of these things, you pick 5 or pick 10 or pick a number, 8, and everybody go put the dots on the board on which one they think is the most important. So you kind of get the feel from the community and then public as to what of these things are the things they're most interested in. Because this is kind of like a brainstorming list of items. And you usually don't make final decisions based on a brainstorming list.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you're going with that is I would like to see these traced to a specific action and somebody that owns it. It's great ideas. I love it.
I'd like to hear from an actual golfer on the task force.
Mr. Tumulty?
Commissioner, Mayor Tumulty? You're here. I believe you golf, sir. Lord knows I don't.
You can eat cheese in the concert.
Yeah, Tim Tumulty.
I do like the bocification of the 19th hole, though. It's very nice.
Pardon me? Pardon me, Mr. Mayor?
I do like the bocification of the 19th hole.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up, right? So my take on the task force was slightly different. We only had 3 meetings, and we didn't have a lot of information up front, so it took a meeting or 2 to get the information to have discussions. That being said, that's not, I think we just needed to have more meetings to get to a different place. We had a lot of talk about marketing, about changing prices, and it came down to the fact that we have a product that needs to change. If we're going to charge more for our product, the product needs to improve. Hence these 17 items, which some are, what not ridiculous, as you said, is just throwing a bunch of brainstorming ideas out there. Doesn't really talk about the golf course, about improvement of the actual golf course, the driving range, the screens that are, I thought were going to be continued to put up, but there's a big gap in them for the driving range, so balls can still go through and hit folks that are playing on the 9th hole and river. We have 3 different golf courses, Dolphin, River, and Lakes. The 9th hole of river comes right back up along the screens of the golf course right there through the driving range. And that's been an issue for years. That screenage just continues to get deteriorated from wind and whatnot, but they keep putting it up the same way. And then 6 months later, it's torn down again. So finally, someone has had a great idea, I believe the city manager, to use some other sort of or type of engineering to get that done. But that's good, but there's still a gap I think they need to be taken care of. We have a driving range, we're not hitting off the grass. We're hitting off concrete mats because they can't seem to grow grass on the driving range. We have an inadequate irrigation system, so we can't water. We have virtually unlimited water with our water waste treatment facility here, using wastewater, but we can't get the water to the fairways because our irrigation system's screwed up. So why are we going to charge more money for this golf course that looks exactly the same, or for the restaurant that looks exactly the same? The food there is fantastic already, in my opinion. I think it's great. I don't know that we need a gourmet menu at this point. Once the golf course improves and we get more, more folks coming in, maybe we can do something like that. But this isn't something that just all of a sudden just recently happened. This has been decades of nothing being done, basically. So to say, hey, here's 17 items or 20 items or 100 items isn't really going to do anything. Because history has shown that nothing gets done. So I'll just leave you with that. And having another meeting to determine what exactly you're going to do, I don't think that's the commission's responsibility to run the organization. Yours is to have some ideas and big picture stuff, not little picture stuff on what's going to be on the menu at the 19th hole. I think is ridiculous for the commission to even consider. That should be something that management of the facility and of the city should be handling.
I've just let a workshop to kind of vet this stuff down between us in the sunshine, could talk about it, got more time, it's a dedicated subject. You could have the people from the golf course, 19th hole could come, golfers could come, advertise a meeting, because, all the golfers didn't show up for your task force meeting.
I think the only thing on this list that the commission should be responsible for would be the name of the Cocoa Beach Country Club. Everything else should be run by the manager of the facility, leisure services department head, the manager of the 19th hole should be able to handle all these things, and that would be their responsibility. If they can't handle these things, then we have a city manager or their director that will find someone that can do these things.
Right.
It's really that simple.
I was just wondering.
And I didn't really go that far with it, but that's what it is.
I just wanted to see what the public opinion poll would be if we had a workshop. What kind of things on this list are they like?
You're missing my
yeah,
point.
we got to have that.
I think you're missing my point, Commissioner.
Instead of just having the staff try.
You're totally missing my point. Staff hasn't tried. If staff had tried, we wouldn't be here talking about this right now.
It's a lot to task them with.
I'm saying a lot right now, and I'm just going to get myself in trouble because I come here all the time. I enjoy golfing here. I enjoy eating here. My wife and here are here a lot, but there are issues that need to be taken care of. And the commission is not the place for it to be done, in my opinion. It's not your responsibility. In general, it is. One thing we can do, I bet this is what I would like you to do if you want to do something as far as get a poll and a pulse of the city, is ask our residents if they think this is a country club and that they can't come out here because they're not members of a country club. I would guess 20% of our residents, at least, that's probably more, think they can't come out here because it's a country club.
I brought this up at least 13 years ago.
I was there.
And you were there. And I got killed over changing it from country club to golf course. And we lost our city manager over because he was backing me up on it. And that was Ron McLemore. 2 weeks later, there was such an uproar, he was gone. And
that's not why he's gone.
Well, that was part of the reason. But anyway, I agree. When you say country club, people think you got to pay a fee to drive through the gate. or to walk through the door. You gotta be a member. You know, this is, yeah, we got public facility all over our signs and stuff, but I'm 100% behind getting rid of the country and the country
I think that's a start, and I think there's another public comment. Back.
I didn't know if I was public comment.
Melissa Byron. First off, you have surveyed the residents of Cocoa Beach. There was a survey that was done with 8,000 responses. And the 8,000 responses came back and said, raise your prices. And that's what you did, which is a good idea. You're saying, why should we charge more? Because we're the best public course there is in Brevard County. We were one of the lowest priced of what it cost. So we know what the surveyor said. Okay, the survey said we want cheap golf. That's what they said. But what citizens that use the course all the time, which is a minority for people who live here and use it. There's a lot of people from Merritt Island and Cocoa and Rockledge and all over who use our course. They might have a different idea and they might pay for more. There are many things that need to be improved and are heading in that direction. Change the name? Yeah, I'm gonna book a wedding here to go to the Cocoa Beach Golf Course and grill. You get 75% to 85% of the weddings and receptions that are held out here because it says it on the invitation, Cocoa Beach Country Club. If you want to cancel that out, that's fine. Start looking at the money you're going to lose if you change it. Also, if you look at, we're number 1 in Google, Cocoa Beach Country Club. If you change the name, that's gone. Every follower you have, everything you have built up for the last 35, 40 years is gone, and you'll start from the beginning. People, in every advertisement for the city of Cocoa Beach and the Cocoa Beach Country Club, it says everywhere it's a public facility. I'm a golfer, I play every day out here. I also play other places. I go places and I call. If it says Country Club and I want to play there, I call. And I say, hey, you take the public? And you know what, since COVID, they take the public. So a lot of people, they'll call out here. Golf Now, which is where we book our tee times, our own tee sheet. They know it's a public course because you get on there and you can make a tee time. It's a matter of there are some improvements that need to be done. Oh yeah, let's have an elegant dinner out on the golf course at night. You're going to be serving people to alligators. The alligators come out on the golf course at night. That's why we don't do events out there. You can't do it. We wanted to do an event where we did nighttime golf. You have light up golf balls. Thought it was a great idea until we found out from the Wildlife Association that they migrate during the nighttime and they eat people. So you don't want to, you don't utilize things that are not what they're needed for. I mean, there are people who have weddings and they also, it's during the day, they go out there and they have it on the golf course. We let them have the course, we charge them. So don't try to, you had people tell you with the survey what they want. You've instituted what they want. So now what we need to do is improve the other services that we have out here, because I think that's what people want. They want the services to be improved out here, and that's happening. By the first step you're going forward is you're going to improve the appearance. We did this room, and it made a huge difference. Now we're going to do improve the appearance. We're going to do some outdoor seating that we've had outdoor, a beautiful way over number 1 river. But you never go there because it floods when it rains. So now it's going to be fixed. Irrigation's in the budget, guys. Let's hope it stays in the budget.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Tim Tumulty, 59-year-old resident of Cocoa Beach, speaking as a resident, public comment. So, if we lost 80% of our weddings here, that would be about 10 weddings per year that we would lose, because we only have 12 to 15 weddings a year here. We don't have events like that. You got married here. Well, we don't have, we have not had over 20 weddings in a year here since I've lived here. So that doesn't happen. 20 weddings is basically 25 weddings would be one every other weekend. I was advised by a management here. Initially, when I was on the leisure board, we asked him how many weddings we had here, and he said about 100 a year. I said 100 a year. I said, I'm pretty good at math, and that's really close to 2 every weekend. And I'm out there all the time. Turns out there were only 17 that year. So, I don't know. Again, it goes back to what I mentioned before. Nothing's going to change because nothing's going to change.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. I agree. I think this is a great list. I applaud the folks that are on the task force that invested time. Obviously, you're experts at what people want using the course every day. I see this as an action list for whoever owns P&L responsibility for the golf course. At the end of the day, this is up to them to put together marketing things that work, that don't work. I'm a numbers guy, so if it's losing money, you're going to have to convince me to keep subsidizing it. But if we've got an action plan together, and I don't know who that person is, is it something? Can we go out of house with the golf course, or is that not a topic? Because I see number 17 says on the 19th hole. I'm assuming that's just on the restaurant side, but. At the end of the day, I see this as, here's what you got to do to make this course profitable.
Yeah. Okay, so is your question whether we can turn it over to a third party and turn it into essentially a company that's doing this?
My thought is whatever we're doing for the tennis racket club.
Okay.
The management side of it, not the ownership, just actually running it and answering for profit and loss.
And we probably could, we'd have to be careful because this property, as y'all know, it's property that we got from the trustees of the Internal Improvement Fund, can only be used for municipal purposes. You can bring in, for instance, somebody to, assist the city, and that's what I believe is happening at the tennis club. You can't turn it over to them, so that it is actually a private business going on. And I did the research on that having to do with when we were talking about a marina and the possibility of having a private marina there. That would be a no-no because we can't do that under our ownership of this property.
We had a private manager run the 19th hole though prior.
And
was
you
that
can
under a lease agreement or something?
I'm not sure, but we just need to be careful about how we do it.
Okay, so there is perhaps a legal method to doing that.
There probably is a legal method that we can do it.
Again, I'm not a golfer, but from what all I've heard, it sounds like there's room for improvement. And doing the same thing over and charging more, that's not gonna work. We gotta up the game.
So the only thing I would like to just add, if I may, just for a moment, the task force, when we created the task force, if you recall, was when we were looking at Dr. Amy's numbers. So the task force the focus of the task force was really looking at the metrics that we didn't have before us at that point in time. We just had $2 increases or $4 increases. It was just some numbers that she provided us. Again, based on her metrics and based on other comparisons and so forth. The purpose that, as I understood that evening for the task force, let's go back and look at it was the financials. That was the focus point of the task force. Again, we can look at all the other things that are needed. Obviously, the financials can't stand on their own without the golf course, right? But the focus of the task force really, from the way that you all provided me the input, was really comparing and looking at those metrics and looking at how we can improve those, or how we can put data sets together that can show that we have revenue coming in and we have expenditures coming out. And so if we do those two things and we have an increased cost on play, we have an increased cost in the pro shop, or an increased cost in the 19th hole, wherever it might be, that the offset of the expenditures has been met.
Right.
That was the understanding of the task force. Basically, if they were a business on their own, how do they stand on their own? How do we compare ourselves to another golf course that's private, and how do they hire people or change their model, if that may be so, to go to a contractor, and how do they support that? So again, if we wish to go in a different direction, I'm fine with that, in the sense of completely looking at the golf side of that too, because we do know that there are challenges out here. I mean, we've been working on those. I know that in the past there's been some great plans, and those plans have been partially implemented, I would say. We're looking at management, where we've changed a few already. We have some retirements coming up, so we'll look to the future of who will fill those seats, in the sense, do they have that experience? Even if it's not a private company, do they come from that world? That's important. We need to look back to a true pro. Do we have a pro? We don't. We have a new pro shop manager that comes from a very heavy industry, obviously, of golf, that can really show us what needs to be covered and maybe represented in our pro shop and some other areas. So again, it's a plan. I think cleaning up this clubhouse is a part of the plan. That's what we're doing. You all funded that. So I do see that we can do some outward items, but I agree even with the public, on the sense that if the golf course doesn't change, it only takes care of it a little bit. So we do have, at this point in time, yes, the irrigation system in next year's budget, but I think we also have to refine the folks that work on the greens, and the folks who take care of them. They have to understand what golf is, and they have to understand the needs of the golfer and what the course should look like. I would say we've probably in the past been a little more of mow, blow, and go than we have been from a golfing perspective. And that's a typical public works perspective, and I don't know that that's been entirely it. I've had several conversations, and that's a little bit of what I've been told. Again, we still need to explore that. I don't want to accuse someone of doing that entirely, but that tends to be what we do. Let's get the job done, and let's mow it and mow the green or whatever it might be. We do, I think we have some good practices. We do rotate equipment, and we understand how to rotate a new piece of equipment to the green versus the other ones to maybe the fairway, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we do some things great, but we need a bigger plan. I mean, it does have to be holistic. I do believe the golf plan that was put together years ago is probably a good baseline, along with this, and then a change in functionality here as management at the course.
With everything you said and this, I'm kind of thinking, and everything Melissa and Tim said, I'm kind of thinking I agree, it's definitely not the commission's job to enforce all these little details, but I think it's maybe our job to come up with an overall goal, like some high overall over-the-top goals, and come up with some metrics on how to measure it for a certain amount of time to see if it has improved. I think maybe the workshop that you're talking about could be geared toward that, for us to come up with some goals, like over-the-top high goals, maybe not to this detail, but keep these into account when we make those goals. Set, I don't know, 5 or however many goals we want to set, or overall big picture of what we want as a commission based on this, and whatever public input that we need more than this, but sounds like we got everything. And then come up with some metrics and a timeline on how we want to see improvement. And I would be supportive of that in a workshop, so we could set something like that for management to work with according to what we want to say.
I agree. I think there has to be some metrics. I mean, how can you be off by 83 units on a wedding? I mean, you own the P&L here. You're the manager. You got to know. That's sorry, but you got to know.
But this is a perfect example. Thank you, Patricia. I mean, it basically said we just dug ourselves out of a $325,000 hole. Well, we filled in $325,000 into a hole.
But the last thing is, all these amenities that a city has, I mean, they're not really designed to make money. They're designed to offer benefits to all the residents that live here. I mean, I'm not a golfer, but I appreciate the fact that people will pay more to buy a home on the golf course for that privilege, and they will pay more taxes, just like the pool. I mean, we had a former elected official that wanted to put concrete into the pool, yet we turn out championship swimmers here. The high school generates, I mean, we had an Olympic team train here. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's an intangible. It's, you know, I think getting it as close to break even as possible, absolutely. Right. But I think, are we gonna make it into a money source? Probably not.
Wait, and I just want to have it crystal clear, what is the subsidized amount that the city's okay with? I don't want just,
Well,
hey, we need more
yeah,
money, we need more money.
We need to know. Well, somebody
Just
has to
some
own the
metric.
P&L.
I'm fine with it being subsidized some amount,
Somebody
but I just want
has
a
to,
target, exactly
somebody
what you're
has to
saying.
own the P&L.
Can we just kind of close this out and give it the action to the city manager to come up with a framework for a workshop on the golf course and a good time for it?
Yep, I like Commissioner Willis's idea.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to get down into the minutia of 17 items. That's something
Right,
management's
well,
got to.
she can come up with a framework.
Thank you. Will do.
Any